Good morning. Welcome to This Week in Health IT, where we discuss news, information, and emerging thought with leaders from across the healthcare industry. It is actually Thursday, March 8th, but we're going to put this episode up on Friday, March 9th. This week, we're going to talk all things HIMSS. We're going to talk about Blue Button 2.0, just a reaction to all the many announcements. We're actually recording live from the showroom floor, and it's going to be a fun time talking about those things. So this podcast is brought to you by Health Lyrics, a leader in digital transformation in healthcare. This is episode number 9. My name is Bill Russell. We're covering healthcare CIO and writer, consultant with the previously mentioned Health Lyrics. Today I'm joined by a great friend of mine and one of the tallest, most consumer-focused CIOs in the industry, David Baker. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You sent me a bio, didn't you?
I did.
Wow, I should pull that up in an email and read it, because people aren't going to believe all the amazing things that you've done.
They won't believe
so let's see what you said. Wow, this is a good one. As SVP, Chief Information Officer, David Baker leads Pacific Dental Services Information Technology team in digitally empowering patients and further enabling clinicians through innovative technology solutions. David was named 2017's Innovator of the Year by Orange County Business Journal. Congratulations.
Thank you. Fun.
Man, how do you get on that list? I never got... Anyway, great job. And one of the Computer World's premier 100 IT leaders in 2016. Baker's proven international business and technology strategist. You actually had your own startup at one point back in Great Britain.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
That's right.
Brexit didn't change the name at all?
Well, I prefer England.
England, okay.
But it is, there is more than just England.
So you're even one of those entrepreneurs who started your own thing and sold it off. So, clearly, David used to work for me. He's gone on to bigger and better things now as the CIO. Really focused in on the consumer experience, and really looking forward to having a conversation with you about what you've learned at HIMSS, and we'll also get into some of the stuff around the consumer experience. I think it'll be fun. So, actually, give us a little background on Pacific Dental, the company, why it's relevant for healthcare. I mean, people don't think of dental health as health, but it really is. And you guys aren't a small practice; it's like a $1 billion+ organization. So it's pretty big. So give us a background.
Sure. I mean, it's a great company. Met with the leadership there. Obviously, after the transition out of the fun days at St. Joe's, a blast there. I like to think of that as my growing up years.
Well, we'll skip some of the things I did to you while you were there to scar you. But yes, we did a lot of great things.
No, it was really, really fun. A great journey. I think it was just by the time the Providence merger happened, a little bit too big for my scrappy roots, let's say. So, bumped into the folks over at PDS, and just explosive growth company, very organic in the way that they pull in our partners, essentially. Have approaching to close to 700 dental offices, and the second largest dental services organization in the US. 700 across the country? Yeah, so 17 states. 17 states. Aggressively opening additional offices. There's a huge demand from the partners that we go and help to practice the art of dental.
Is it all dental, or are you partnering with healthcare or doing some new healthcare stuff?
So I think this is where things get really interesting. We start to touch on some of this because dental's been like the red-headed stepchild, unfortunately, right? And it's just like everything's cut off from
it's like you're healthy except your teeth are bad, but that's not health. I get it.
Exactly. So oral systemic health is kind of one of the key passions for me, at least as a technologist, and the company as well. And I think the business is evolving. We are seeing instances of folks popping up, us included, where we're having a primary care physician set up with the dentist in the same office, which is a pretty cool concept to think about. You can go down with little Johnny and the kids, get the annual health checkups, right? Or hopefully a bit more than the annual health checkup.
You can do the whole round.
Yeah, get the shots and then go and get the teeth cleaned and the checkup as well while you're there. It's very convenient, and more importantly, you start to correlate this data between medical and dental, which is that's the big pivotal moment.
So are you guys on an EHR? Or is EHR a thing in dental?
Absolutely. It's very interesting because I go in coming from medical, there's an abundance of EHR, right? I mean, there's you can see from HIMSS, there's just inundated with different folks in that space. and at different levels. In dental, everything is designed. 80% of the market is private practice. 20% is the DSO, and that's where we operate in. There's a lot of mom-and-pop shop applications in private practice. Folks, spinning up companies in their bedroom and then, grown over the years. And for us, there's definitely a shortfall. There's a market in the DSO space because it's a smaller pot. So what I've found is, the unfortunate situation that most of the folks that are in our space in practice management are, definitely lacking some more of the emerging thinking, let's say.
So soon we'll see some of these players focusing in, because it would be great to have a medical record, right? A personal medical record that has everything. Imagine not only the consumer side, but the dental side and the medical side. So I'm sure more to come on that, and I'm sure if you're here, it means you're talking to some of these players. We'll wait for the announcements a little later.
All right, there's some really exciting stuff going on. Like I said, it's going to be a big year in dental.
It's going to be fun. Well, I'm looking forward to talking HIMSS. We're going to talk, big themes. We'll talk, what did you learn from the floor? We'll talk, I don't know. We'll hit on, what was your favorite handout at the booths or those kind of things. We'll see what we come up with. I'll kick us off here. I feel like there's 4 main themes that are being driven home here. I think there's 3 overhyped themes, and then I think there's one that's sort of in the background everywhere. I'm seeing it everywhere, but it's not being hyped. The 4 main themes I'm hearing is cloud. So Eric Schmidt came on that first night and said, if you're not in the cloud, healthcare, if you're not in the cloud, it's time to get there. Don't walk, run, sprint, get there. And we knew this back when we were working together before we moved to the cloud in 2012, because we knew that you could get to scale. You could do things in the cloud that you couldn't do if you tried to hold on to your data center. If you get that data into Azure or AWS or to Google, now you have access to these machine layer and AI layers, so you can do some things. And he drove that home in his keynote. Some of the other things are customer experience, so we'll talk a bunch about that. I think that is being driven home, knowing your patient's journey and really doing a good job around that. The other area which has gotten a ton of press and some really exciting announcements is interoperability, right? So Seema Verma from CMS and Jared Kushner from the Trump administration came in, and they did their announcement on Blue Button 2.0, which I think is really exciting. So you had Blue Button, which took the medical records for all the people within the VA. They could actually press a button, download their entire medical record, go somewhere else, and then give them their medical record electronically. Well, now that's available for CMS. 59 million patients. I think I have that number right. About 59 million patients now. You're going to be able to press a button, download it, and then upload it into another. So cloud, customer experience, interoperability. Really, 3 themes are probably the core. The 3 I think that are way overhyped this year. I'm curious your thoughts. AI. Right. We're all excited about it. We know it's there. We know it's going to be great. But I mean, every booth you go into is like, they say AI, and you're like, machine learning AI are the 2, and then blockchain. And again, all 3 of those things are going to have a major role within healthcare. But it's sort of like population health 3 years ago. We were hearing it everywhere we went, but people didn't have a good definition or how they were going to use it or where it was going to play. And now, I think those 3 are still trying to find their space, and it just feels kind of overblown. And the one that's behind the background, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this one, is voice. So machine-human interaction seems to be changing. We saw this with Augmetics and Google Glass. They were doing dictation through there. I don't know about you. I stopped at the VMware booth, and VMware had these guys were sitting there with an Alexa, and they go, "Hey Alexa, spin up 4 more instances of our whatever." And it fired up 4 more instances of the servers. And that's not a hugely practical application, but don't you think there's going to be a lot of application for voice?
Huge. I mean, for us, we're experimenting with that. I think back in the day, it's interesting looking at some of the stuff we got in front of. I think in good time, that is now at a mature level. I mean, we did the largest West Coast roaming instance of Nuance over Citrus, right, back in the day, some 12,000 gigabits. So it was it was hot.
And that's now like basic. I mean, if you don't have that today, where your doctor walks up and does some sort of biometric screening and logs onto the system, you're behind.
I think what you've got now is this really cool, middle layer through the progression of APIs, right? Some of the SDKs that these folks are throwing out. It's like, here's the engine, here's all the guts of what you want to drive from the technology experience standpoint. You just plug in and push it through your UI essentially. And before it was just that point-to-point integration. So I think this has been the pivotal point in enabling voice, especially through things like Alexa.
Yeah, so the APIs are finally there, the SDKs are finally there. You're able to tap into these things. I know when we were at St. Joe's, we tasked a team. We said, look, we want to be able to look at appointments through voice. And we thought, well, what's this going to be, a $10,000 project, $15,000 project? And the engineers came back after the weekend and said, okay, it's ready to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you, they had integrated it with one of our data repositories, and they essentially had to bring on Google Home, not Alexa, not Amazon Echo, but Google Home. They said, okay, Google, tell me about my appointment. And it came back and said, your next appointment is on this date. Would you like a reminder in your phone? Or a reminder in your phone?
Just plug and play, it's amazing. So, and I think goes to your point, right? The things that I've seen here at HIMSS this year is really around data, right? Data's a new oil, for sure. That's where everything stems from. We can get clean, open data that we can begin to interoperate with. That's the key to everything. So it's just more clear, I think, than it's ever been. People finally are understanding. Free my data, which I think is your term, Michael.
Yeah, free the data, share the data, apply the data. That's what we used to always. That was our mantra. Is the data any better in dental, or is it equally? You have a big cleanup project in front of you.
So I believe we've got the biggest repository of dental data in the US, which is fun. It's untapped, right? I mean, we've got internally, we're utilizing it. We're a heavy metrics API-driven organization. We see that data every day. We do better business through that data. But dental in general is extremely fragmented. You're never going to go in current state, right, and say, hey, let me just take all my patient information from this visit with you. In fact, you'll go to a dental office, right, one corner of the block, go to a different one, and go through all your x-rays, you go through all the paperwork. It's really disconnected.
Well, that's you say it's the new oil, but we've got to refine it, right? We've got to get the data to the point where you can partner with a research institution that says, hey, let's go through your data and come back with some insights of, we can help people live healthier lives through dental by doing this analysis, finding the patterns and saying, okay, these people maybe have a different pattern for health than somebody else.
Totally, you hit the nail on the head, right? Think about the value of that data for us from an oral systemic health standpoint, right? Where there are key correlations between.
It's amazing how you've made the jump from one industry to the other. Oral systemic health, like you learned the new.
I'm in there. Now, us Brits are all about the teeth, right? So.
It's a great place for you. But that makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you this question, and this is off topic here.
Okay.
How hard is it to go from one industry to the other? Obviously, it's still healthcare, but is it hard for a CIO to make that jump from one industry to another?
No, it was handy having the healthcare grounding. I only got that in this country, and I could only get by on my accent for so long, so I had to pick up some slack at some point and learn a little bit about
That's why we have you on the podcast. The number of listeners just doubled.
They'll find out that I don't know that much about dental soon. No, I think it's been huge. In this day and age, as a CIO, Bill, you need to see the business table. It's kind of cliche to say, right? I've heard other folks say it on your podcast, but it is. I don't want to become a data center CIO. I think that it's almost becoming industry agnostic. So the health space is the health space. The teeth are part of that health space. The optics are part of that health space now. So it's how do we go into such traditional businesses and inject our digital experience to improve those workflows, give minutes back every day to those caregivers. It's the same story ultimately, but the biggest piece of this next generation of healthcare is making sure it's interoperable. You can take it with you, it's portable, and you can begin to learn about your personal health in ways you've never been.
And so that's the thing I've always appreciated about you is you like the technology, but it was never about the technology for you. It was always about the experience. It's like, how do we, and it doesn't matter if it's dental, if it's retail, if it's medical. In fact, it's harder in the medical side because we almost, there was a time where we used to say the word consumer, and they would look at us like, "Who are you talking about?"
Right.
And but now we're finally getting it, and we're talking about consumer experiences. What are some of the themes you got? I'm sort of hogging this show here. What are some of the themes you got from this?
This is great, and I'm passionate. We'll touch more about consumer experience. I'd like to treat everybody as a customer and look at it through the eyes of the customer, and that essentially where I've been at in healthcare and dental, the patient journey is everything, right? It's so ripe for some low-hanging fruit and disrupting. Again, is another overused word, but disrupting this legacy industry. So themes here, like I said, data and analytics, right? Self-serve, right? It's always, we've been talking about it for a while, but everything's been very stagnant. Self-service, and you doing your own data mining now, it's becoming easier and easier. It should be. You shouldn't have to have a whole data science team to behind trying to pick out certain correlations. It's fine. I mean, you need that. But I want to serve up data to my folks that are hungry for it, that want to make their own easy, drop, click correlations.
Well, I'm curious, your new CEO, and so the CEO we both served under. I remember her; she kept coming to me going, "When am I going to just be able to Google our data?" Right? I just want to ask it a question like, how many people in Orange County had this, or how do we, she just wanted to ask it questions. And her experience was, I like that Google interface, which is just one little box. I type in my question and it comes back with a bunch of different answers, and I look at it and go, it's that one. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just, I want that one.
It's something off, right? It's there. We're there now, but once again, it's about getting that data out. So for endpoint management right now, for example, we've utilized a company called Tanium, and their natural language in terms of, hey, how many Windows XP machines have I got? And I better have none, by the way. But at least it'll pop back up. It'll pop back up with your top queries. And I think, like you say, it'll be Alexa next. Just I'll ask Alexa, and she can be all the APIs I want.
How many Windows 95 machines do I have? Oh man, we're in trouble.
It's fun. The other big thing here, IoT. We've been talking about that for a while, right? So I feel like blockchain is the new, I'm in the cloud, right? I think we've gone past that. Cloud's mature, we get it. Blockchain's really interesting, but it's just at the onset, right, of progressing. IoT, I think, which we embarked upon. Remember when I was trying to do the tracking through Bluetooth meshes?
Oh yeah,
like 2 years ago,
around the entire hospital,
That's hot now. I mean, people are tracking as easier than ever. You don't need all this crazy hardware that you have to install. You can, through the beacons or through some of the more hyperlocation services, through some of the network providers, it's much easier. So I like seeing the way that the devices are coming into the environment. They're becoming part of our IT ecosystem, almost where we're going to track where it is. We're going to track its health. It's got some health healing going on there. There's so many applications you can apply to these little devices that now have a life of their own.
So IoT is interesting. So IoT has matured. It's starting to get there. You talk about wayfinding as an example, but not only wayfinding, but finding devices within the organization as well. I'm looking over there making sure we're still recording. So finding devices, we were doing it because we were losing devices. Literally, they were walking out the door somehow out of the hospital, so we were finding devices that way. But there's just, pill boxes, devices in people's homes, IoT's everywhere. We don't even, it's ubiquitous now, and it's actually it's what the cloud has enabled. It's in the background, you don't see it, but it's working for you. It's like, we used to have Fitbits to track our steps, and everybody had a Fitbit on. Now almost no one does, but if you ask them how many steps they have, they pull out their phone and they go, I've had 12,000 steps today. And it's just that whole concept of, it's on my watch, it's on something that's already there. We don't even realize it. What are some areas where you think you're going to use IoT?
So, as you know, we'll talk about this. I guess the art of some of these deployments. It's great coming in, getting all that juice about what's emerging. But the big question is, one, how am I running? Keeping the trains running, right? And then two, how am I building planes on the side, right? But let me go another term I stole from you. I trademarked it now, CIO of Pacific.
Well, there's an article on the Health Air's website on this. It's
sorry,
yeah. It's the role of CIO. Keep the trains running on time, lay new track, right? So everyone's saying, hey, can you make this a little better? And then it's build airplanes, which is...
This is the moonshots, right? Or some of the stuff that's like, what's coming in. I love that article, by the way. You should, if anyone's not read that one, that's a key, especially you're coming up through the ranks as a technology leader. Phenomenal article. I believe heavily in ops, being operationally excellent, right? We're just every day we're churning like a well-oiled machine.
Because you can lose your job if that does.
Exactly.
Like you could build the best airplane in the world, but if your data center keeps going down,
exactly.
all of a sudden you're on the street.
Keep that stuff running, but also to truly be at the business table, you need to align with the business plan, those growth plans, and see how you are being that digital partner in enabling and exploiting some of that.
And that's what they want you to be, the expert. They want you, so you're at this conference, you're walking around, they want you to come back and say, okay, here's where healthcare is, or here's where digital is going. Here's some of the things that are going to be possible. And then you make decisions with them. You're educating them at some point, and then you're saying, okay, here's the 55 things we can do. Here's the 20 I think makes sense. And they're saying, okay, for next year's strategy, I think we should do these things. Is that how do you guys set strategies? Is it sort of like that? Or?
Absolutely. So the thing that I'm most impressed with, around Pacific Dental is just their transparent and very clear strategy and plan over the next 10 years with hyper focus on the next 1 and 2. We know exactly what we're aiming for this year, and I tie it with that closely and get my plans for the 12 months, which are really boiled down. There's some 42 projects literally that are lined up and we're crashing through, and then if something takes a higher priority, we can go at that. I think the benefit and buy-in that I got early days was we can't miss a trick with some of the really cool emerging tech that I think would give us immediate benefit, because what I'd like to do is spin up the emerging technologies group, which I was able to do. Now that just gives me immense leverage with where we can just fail fast on so many products. So you said, what are you doing with IoT? I'm sprinting hard on a project right now. When you pull into our car park, you'll be notified, right, through the beacon technology. Hey Bill, we're on time. We'll see you in 2 minutes. You've got this form to sign off on, but we're good to go. And then in more of a concierge style, we'll be able to pop up on screen the, hey, in comes Bill. Here's his photo. Here's some information that we already have on Bill through a great conversation we have, and creating that experience, right? Because that's really what we're looking for. We're really trying to create that one-on-one experience.
Yeah. Well, all right, so that's a bunch of stuff on HIMSS. To be honest, on the show, Alhamdulillah's coming on next week. I'm going to talk about HIMSS. 2 weeks from now, it's a niche show, but we're going to talk about HIMSS.
No more HIMSS.
So we'll move on. Just one of the things, so in our second segment, we do a leadership or tech talk. And with you, it's not leadership or tech. I want to talk about the consumer experience. I think it is top of mind. It's definitely top of mind at HIMSS. I think it's top of mind for most CIOs. So why? Why are we finally talking? Or why is it important to talk about the consumer? Is this going to be a point of differentiation within healthcare, or are we just?
You lead with this. This is the changing thing. You lead with the experience, right? You almost put people design an app these days. They go out, they build a complete app, they build the UI. Everything is already upfront frame-wise. Run through it and then reverse engineer it. People do the code on the back end. Is what I'm seeing. So you lead with the experience first. People expect more than ever the days of home and business, IT, compute, digital experience being separate. They're one now, and more than anyone that shadow IT is real. And people in the business, I've had this problem. This problem recently, are going out and they want a file share service, right? Because VPN. Traditional FTP sucks, right? They want a decent video conference system, right? So they'll just go and download their own widgets. So it's important as IT leaders to go and bring folks and tools to do better business together.
What's amazing to me is there's this tangent here, but every healthcare system, every company I've ever gone into, I've rarely come across a good video conferencing system. It's amazing. You go into these conference rooms like, yeah, it's old, it might work, it might not work. Okay, I'm going to plug in with DVI. It's like, well, no, you need an old VGA. It's like, because it's a hard budget to get to.
Yeah,
but the experience sucks for almost everyone, including the executives.
So you're totally right, and that's always a laughing, situation. And it was a Pacific Dental, so it's funny not to go. It's nothing revolutionary, it's just video, right? I'm like, should work. It shouldn't be this huge pulling of cables, and so I just rolled out a ring solution from a unified communication standpoint, telephony.
Yeah, we'll have telephony. We'll have to get that. I'll have to do the translation part. Car park is the parking lot.
Yes,
the British translation here.
Keep translating. So we just rolled that out, and it really is, I think, finally just a great amalgamation of communications products that just work and let people do better video calls together.
So that's a good use case. You approach everything, internal and external, through the lens of the consumer. So you have internal consumers, you have external consumers. What are some other use cases where you've actually? I'm going to take you back, force you back here. So I think one of the most impressive projects I actually take some credit for. I really shouldn't take any credit. It was really you. Was this 60 back?
Okay.
You remember 60 back?
Remember it well.
So talk about 60 back, because I think every healthcare CIO should initiate a 60 back project tomorrow. So talk a little bit.
So it started really back in the day when we were, how many minutes can we get clinicians back, right, on their day? Because they were like manually logging on. Suck experience. So number one, go and spend time out of the ivory tower and make sure you're in there on the shop floor with the customer. Right? You know that we've all spent many a night in the ED and seeing where we can improve lives and workflows. So we demonstrated to every one of our clinicians, we were able to give them 15 minutes back on their day every day through some of the single sign-on and badge and go technologies, and that was way back. But I apply that to every situation to this day. I go in first and foremost, let me look for a problem first, rather than assume people have got problems. Speak to people, interview people, spend a lot of time in the offices just looking at this stuff. And that was to say, I think this one, the difference was while we were looking for problems still out in the hospital floor, you set the challenge of, if you did 15, you should be able to double that. And I'm like, maybe. And you're like, why don't we start with 60 back? And then 60 back was full. So the challenge was, how do we get 60 minutes back a day, every day, to the caregivers? And so it spawned from there.
So that's the role of the CIO, by the way. Somebody comes in and gives you a great gift of 15 minutes, and you go, yeah, make that 60. Or they go, yeah, I saved you $1 million on your budget. And you're like, all right, make it 5. I mean, that's sort of what we do.
Constantly reinventing, I guess, right?
But that is such a great project, especially since we've done the EMR projects and we've added to all the clinicians today, and we're seeing this burnout happen. It would be great to continue to make those efforts. And it wasn't huge. It wasn't a huge project. I remember one of the things you guys came back and said is, hey, what we identified in the ED is when we redid the ED, we didn't put the printers in the right place. So all we did is we bought like 2 additional printers, repositioned them all, and we saved 5 to 10 minutes of these people trying to find things.
Some of your Greenbelt training here is good to have some of the Six Sigma folks coming in and just looking at the digital workflows, right? And so it was as simple as that. So we could save a couple of minutes a day here, and it adds up quickly. One of the bigger things, especially medical, is the badge and go printing is very helpful, right? As well as some of the prescription printing. There's some complexities around that, and it usually involves a poor end user scrolling through some horrid list and it printed some. I mean, it's a nightmare. So we implemented systems, where is the closest printer? I just badge it, boom, out comes my job, and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, that was great. Give me some examples of what you're doing. What are you doing at Pacific Dental in that area, and how do you measure success?
So success for me is always, I say, in a couple of key areas, right? And once again, it comes back to that patient and the dental experience. How can we get minutes back on every day? So 2 things can happen. 1, you can spend more time engaging that patient, or 2, you can get more patients into your schedule, right? Revenue is obviously the driver there. So it's
really?
Money and
So
time.
Revenue matters?
It does a little, right? Especially in the private sector.
Got it.
So yeah, we're really focused. I always lead out with the experience and those minutes back. How do we become more and more efficient so that the end user is presented with the right information at the right time to make the correct decision?
So if I saw measurement, you would actually talk in terms of minutes or hours or
minute satisfaction revenue. Now, satisfaction is a big one that a lot of people miss. So when I go in, I always pitch a project up front and say, I would like cash for this. It might not have been budgeted, but here's why I think your ROI is going to be.
You did that a lot.
Exactly. Because I get these, I'm like, we couldn't do this. This is so good. But I'll usually say the reason I want to do it is because we're going to save here, or we're going to enjoy the time optimization down the road. So the biggest thing for me is once the funding's in and you're out there and you nail the project. It doesn't always work, and I would say fail fast is the other piece of advice around. Make sure you get out fast or refine as you go. It's coming back round, to your sponsors, your board, whoever it may be, saying, well, Bill, thanks, you invested $1 million in this. Here is, and I usually do some video work. It doesn't have to, and it wasn't cheap. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't Hollywood production. Let's just come back in, right? Everything's there these days, and say, look, it's interviews with the docs. They like it. It's changed the way that they work. It's given them time back, right?
Yeah, that project closure thing is something we forget to do. And going back, going back to the people that gave you the money, or going back to the clinicians that gave you their time, and saying, hey, here's the result. I mean, they may experience. I think the assumption we make is, oh, they're living it, so that they know what. But no, you need to keep telling the story over and over again.
Outside of leading with experience, and then making sure you don't have propeller heads delivering stuff to the end users, which we can touch on. The final important thing is going back to those stakeholders and demonstrating your success. We'll track it. We have satisfaction scores. Obviously, we have uptime scores of the product we're deploying. We have a series of KPIs that says, hey, we've done a good job.
Yeah. So propeller head is British for really smart people who know their technology craft.
You know that, and I've always maintained, right? You can't have really, really geeky IT folks without personality. You're not saying everyone, right? But out there trying to ram a product down a customer's throat. The key to delivering a great IT product is to make sure it's intuitive and it's sticky, and people will pull on it rather than you push it. So you know that we've had great deliveries with letting a product organically grow just to prove out if that's the product.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you taught me was you started hiring these people with more customer service backgrounds than technology backgrounds, and I pushed you a little bit on it. You said, no, watch how good this is, and actually since then I've hired Rachel, and she's phenomenal at HealthLearns, and she heads up a lot of our consumer engagement kind of things, because that's how she's wired, it's how she thinks, and the technology, it just comes along. You pick it up and you go.
Could your mother use it? I always say, right, when's the last time that you called Google for support? When's the last time you called Facebook for support?
Or right? Apple or anybody.
Yeah, but you don't, right? Because you self-service first and foremost, and then you don't need instruction manual for these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we're at the, we are. We're at the, I know it goes so fast.
It does go fast.
But I try to do a half hour only because, when I was a CIO, I didn't have time for an hour podcast. So
that's great.
About a half hour. So we usually close, that's the second segment. Third segment, we usually close with our favorite social media post. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first because people might cut off the 32 minutes, so it's important that my voice is heard over my joke. So my favourite this week was really, and we used to do this reflections Vegas at Joe's, and you always used to take the mic as an English term, right? You'd be joking around me. Why are you always giving like a Richard Branson quote? So I'm going to end.
Richard Branson and Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins as well. He's awesome. I couldn't find Tony Robbins' tweet much, but Richard Branson's all over it. So in honour of you, Bill. Richard Branson put out just a tweet around how he's trying to reinvent his economy class fares, right, on his planes. He feels that travel experience is starting to suck again, and it's all about, the bottom line, cheapest ticket, but you kind of all shoved onto the plane like cattle. So he's trying to make economy a better experience, and the correlation I draw is from that is folks like him, Elon Musk, right? Those guys just constantly reinvent, constantly go, yeah, it's good. Yes, I've become, the company's great here, but what's next? Someone's going to come and eat my lunch. What's next? He's just thinking about what's next, and I love that. We need to do more of that in healthcare.
And that's a great challenge. It's to try to project out ahead and say, what can we do that would really make this experience a lot better for, all the people involved. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I thought it was very creative. So you walk into HIMSS this week, and they hand you the newspaper, which I can't believe they still hand you a newspaper. I mean, I have two of them in the bag here. But they hand you a newspaper, and there's people walking around with them, and then there's a whole bunch strewn all over the place. But I don't know if you saw this, but there was somebody handing out a sort of an off-brand thing called fake news. And it was fake news from the HIMSS floor, and it was just funny stories. It was like made-up stories about what was going on at HIMSS. I couldn't find a copy. I wanted to bring a copy because it was really funny.
That's cool.
It was really well done. So I just wanted to share with people that concept of the fake news at HIMSS for the conference. I'll try to track it down because I think it's funny.
It's like the Onion, that was, I think, the fake news. It's pretty fun.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show. That's really all we have time for. Let me find the close here on this thing. So that's all for now. Thanks. Where can we follow you?
You can follow me. I'm on Techie Exec. So it's my my brand, at Techie Exec. So it's TECHYEXEC.
Okay, and that's on Twitter. You can follow me at The Patient CIO. Don't forget to follow show on Twitter as well, This Week in HIT, and check out our new website, This Week in Health IT. I don't know how long I can say new. It's been out there for about 9 weeks now. If you like the show, please take a few seconds and give us a review on iTunes and Google Play. And please come back every Friday for more news commentary from industry influencers. That's who you are, an industry influencer.
Awesome. I never thought I'd make it.
Thank you very much. That's all for now.